So, hello everyone. Welcome to our final day. That is day 7 of our bootcamp, Express.js bootcamp from Sundarban's house. I am Kunal Chaturvedi, our moderators for the session, Tulika and Ravi. Um, we are nearing towards the very end of this journey that we had, starting from explaining the client server architecture, then create discussing our database in MongoDB, and trying to set up a simple backend, just a CRUD backend using Express.js. And then finally, today, we will just top it all up like a cherry on the top with a simple Bootstrap introduction, and that's all. So we will just try to write a little bit of Bootstrap and make our application look a little better. The main aspects of our backend have already been completed, and the code is already available on GitHub. Uh, the link of which I think I can post in the chat right now. So this is the link. Again, I'll push the new changes after today as well, so you can see all of the version history of the file. So first, let's get started. Let me present my screen, um, and let's and just give me a confirmation once it is visible. Uh, Somebody. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. So okay, I'll just go here. I'll just show. So on Google, just search for Bootstrap, and once that comes up, just click on the first link. The point here is that we are going to import this library, front end library, and we will be using the components from Bootstrap a little bit so that our website looks better. Um, so once you are on the website, the whole purpose of Bootstrap is to give you some pre-made template. So you don't have to write all of the HTML, CSS yourself. And this is true for all other libraries like Bootstrap, for example, Tailwind or some other new libraries that are coming up, Material UI or those libraries, front-end libraries. We are just using Bootstrap because I feel it is a bit more beginner friendly and very easy to set up as a starting point. So once that happens, just click on this read docs button. We are already presented with an option of get started with Bootstrap. So there is already a quick start option on the front page. Uh, so we'll set this up well initially as well. So let's just use whatever is given here. So when we want to import these libraries or these extensions or these components, any of these libraries, there are two major components that sorry, there are two major files that are required for styling these sort of advanced web pages. One is a CSS file, uh, which is uh, a file which can how should I say it? Which can manipulate the styling on your web page. The styling basically ranges from your font style, your font size, your font color, and all those things. So CSS is used to manipulate all of those things. And there is also this JavaScript file that Bootstrap provides us with. It is responsible for uh, introducing more minute interactions, which we can see today if required. So basically, the point is we have to include both of those things. JavaScript is more like a scripting language to actually interact with all of the elements that are on the page, so it becomes essential as well. So to do all of this as of now, we can just come here and go to step 2 basically directly, and click on this copy to clipboard icon right here. And once that is done, let's come to our Visual Studio Code, our old friend, and or any other code editor, and let's click on index.tjs, our very first page, which had all of these details. So because I don't want to disturb this right now, I'll just do one thing. On the top, I'll create some space and paste it. Let's remove this doc type HTML. Um and let's have all of this information, and instead of these HTML tags on the top, let's copy this one or cut this one and come down and paste it right here. Um Now there are a few more things. I'll just quickly format it. So this is what I was talking about. The CSS file, which is pre-made for styling all of our components, is given by this link tag. The script tags are required for importing our JavaScript files, which are given by Bootstrap. And the old thing, for example, in our body tag, for example, we included a few components. So that is the same thing which we do here as well. There is also a body tag with a script tag included right here. So just for the sake of simplicity, let me move the script tag below the body tag, and let's use all of the content that was present in our body tag before into our body tag directly here with the Bootstrap component, Bootstrap CSS and JS files already included. So let's save it and run our server once more, and let's go to our browser and check for this. So let's go to localhost 3000. And once we load this, we already see a very huge difference in how our text is written and how our p tag is written, how our anchor tag or a tag is written right here. This is all because of the CSS files from Bootstrap. So there is a very initial font stylings and all of those things, a tag stylings given by Bootstrap, which makes our page look like this. And you can essentially see all of those stylings while you are trying to style your page live. Just for example, if on a page like this, if you just go and hit F12, this page comes up this console pops up for your browser. And if you expand this section here a little, you will start seeing some things in the styles section given here. So you will see that there is a style called, and I'm just clicking on body here. Maybe if I click on HTML, it will show some different things. So in this elements page, let's just click on body once and see what is happening. So there is this specific file called reboot.scss. SCSS is sort of an advanced version of CSS, which is compiled into CSS. But let's not go into that. Just consider that this is plain CSS for now. So we have all this information, such as a margin that is set to 0, which can be toggled by you, and you can see the differences as we go ahead. There is already a font family attribute given to us by Bootstrap. There is all other attributes given already. So this is what makes our text look a bit different, because they also uh, give us a different font family by default. So the font also changes by default with Bootstrap. So that is all that we have for the starting. Now I'll just go through a little bit about little bit on the basic ideas of Bootstrap and how their web pages are structured, and how you can do that, and how you can structure your web pages or style your web pages so that they start looking much more readable and better. So the very first things that we want to understand about Bootstrap is, okay, we'll not read a lot into their website. We'll just directly come into our web page. And the thing here is that, okay, let's just change our title here. Let's just call it product listing for now. And there are some things that we want to learn about Bootstrap. So essentially, how Bootstrap is built is, there is a consider that the whole web page is divided into multiple rows. And how do you imagine these rows is, they are sort of like bricks which are laid on top of each other. And there may be around 20 rows or 30 rows which are piled on top of each other on a very highly populated web page. And they consider these as empty rows, and inside of these empty rows we can basically section off these empty rows into smaller parts. uh, and Bootstrap allows the sectioning of this one row into 12 equal parts at maximum. You can section this row off into one part, two parts, three parts, all up to 12 parts. So you can have one row, or example, just one brick laying on your web page, and a second brick laying on your web page. Your first brick on the top, on the very top, can only be just one column, which is, it is not divided at all. And consider that all these bricks are the same width. In the second row, the second brick that we have, Bootstrap allows us to split it into many other columns, or smaller pieces of bricks, for example. So the first one is the same fixed size. The second row is also the same size, but the thing here is that instead of one singular piece in the second row, we have, let's say, four pieces of bricks which come together, which line up together and form the same width as the first row. So uh, and you can keep on doing this. So this one column itself, so I will now start referring to these bricks as rows. I hope you understand, because this is a shorter time that I'm trying to cover this in. So we have this row, and in each of these rows you can section off these rows into smaller columns, and each of those columns can then have some content into it. So, and you keep on doing this, so your whole web page becomes a long list of rows, and in each row, like, it's a whole pile of rows, and each row is then split into multiple parts. So let's try doing this in code, and how this happens. We'll look into this. So when we are trying to place these rows, basically, we need to have a framework or a structure around it, in which we can start placing these rows on top of each other, and in a similar fashion. So to do that, there needs to be a container in which these rows are piled up. So in code as well, we start creating this, and in HTML, the most basic tag which is used very often for dividing the web page into different parts and sectioning it off is the div tag, which is div tag. uh, Internally it holds no content, nothing at all. It has zero content. It is literally just empty space, but that empty space can be filled with content. So what happens is that with that empty space has some title, some headers, and some buttons, and all of that. And then it starts looking more like your web page. So let's just start doing this. And how do we do that? I'm just using a shortcut in any code editors like this. We use something called emmet abbreviations. These are just quick ways to write your HTML structures. So to start doing this, we will create a div tag which will have a certain class. uh, and now, why classes? What is a class? So let's just first create it. I'll tell you why do we use something like a class. So I just say dot, and then I start writing container. Visual Studio Code detects it as an emit abbreviation, and when I hit enter, it translates into this a div tag, which has a closing tag coupled with it, and there is a certain class associated to that tag. Now, classes are necessary so that CSS knows which tag it wants to change the properties for. Imagine if there was another. There are many div tags here. We can create any number. So we just keep on writing div and creating all of this. There is no unique way to identify any of these div tags. So in CSS or in JavaScript, we usually use something like classes to uh, tag these tag these HTML5 tags with some certain class value, which we will then use, or Bootstrap will internally use to manipulate. So as I said, once we have this container, we will start laying our bricks one by one. We'll start laying out our bricks. And how do we do that? We will again write dot row. This is how our first brick has been laid. Now, inside of these bricks, as I said, we can have any number of divisions. But for now, let's just, to keep it very simple, let's introduce this title tag into our first row, so that it takes up this whole row. The first row only has this title tag. Let's keep this as it is for now. And let's lay down another row. And the way to do that is again write dot row and hit enter. And in the second one, we will actually segregate this now. So this one row will be now segregated into two segments. One segment can have this subtitle, and the other segment can have this login user a tag. So now to do this, we write out something like uh, dot col -6 and hit enter. Uh, why this col6? It is because in each row there are 12 columns, and we want our one of our columns to be half the width, and we want our another column to be half the width again. So if we want to divide 12 by 2, we want to divide 12 into 2, it becomes 6, right? So that is where this 6 comes from. This is by dividing 12 into 2 parts. Let's again create another column and let it be col6 as well. Now let's make some space in this, and let's put our subtitle in our first column here, and our in our second column, let's put this a tag as well. Let's hit save and see how our web page has already changed. If we reload this once, you will see that there has been some change in this formatting that has happened right now. Let's hit F12. Now it will become your friend, this F12 console, and this button, which is select an element in a page. This button. So once you click this, let's start hovering on our elements and see how they are structured. So let's like slightly move your mouse around, and you will notice some things. Just expand this element tree here in your console and see what is happening right now. When we hover on the container, the first div, we see that all this is highlighted. All our web page is highlighted. The very first row, it is highlighted. Now, I said that it is a row, but essentially it is the container in which there are two more rows. Now this is our whole container in which only has 2 rows, so it is a little short in height. Next, we have 2 rows which we can work with. So this is the first row, which has one h1 tag, and we have this second row, uh, which you can see by just hovering on your div classes, sorry, div tags in the right elements panel. So as I hover from the first row to the second, you can see how the highlighting changes. So it says that there are 2 rows. Now let's expand the second row and see how this row is also now segregated into 2 columns specifically. So this is also segregated into this col 6 this side and on the left, and col 6 on the right side. So this is how our columns are segregated. Now if I try doing this thing, let me just come here and let me make this call 4, and let me make this as column 8. I think 8 plus 4 is 12. Now let me again just hover over this again, and you will see how it is changing. So this call 4 in the bottom, column 4, is now a very smaller, is a smaller column in comparison to our call 6 column, our segregation there. And this column 8 is also now relatively larger as to our column call 6 column that we had previously. You will also see that there is some spacing on the on both sides of the page. Uh, this comes because of this container class. Um, this container class essentially allows us to uh, have these rows laid down on top of each other, and you will see these orange gaps on the left and right of it. These are called margins, and the green parts, the green lines on the left and right are called is called padding of the rows, or sorry, of the container. Now we can continue building like this. So we always will have a container. We will keep on writing some rows, and inside of rows we will have some or the other columns, and we will continue doing this with our web page. So let me just start by saying that this is something which we currently don't feel is okay to deal with. So let me come here and start writing some things which will try to make it a little more better. So we will do one thing here. Instead of just directly placing an element inside the row, we will write something like dot call 12, which will make it a full sized column inside of this row, and then we will place our title. And let's do one thing, to give some spacing on the top of our column. Inside of this class, we will mention empty, which is margin top. Let's give a hyphen, and there are 5 levels to which you can give margins just from Bootstrap itself. That is by writing mt1, mt2, mt3, mt4, mt5. You can give all these sort of margins. So we need a really large margin, so we will just write mt5 for now. Now again, I am not going into all the details of the CSS that is behind it. Maybe we can continue this into a front end session later with Sundarban's house. But for now, let's keep this as MT5 and see how it changes currently. So let's get rid of our console for now, and let's refresh it. We see that our page changes a lot. So it now it comes down from the top by this margin, our mt5 class that we created, and you can again go to your inspect elements and check for yourself. So if you just go to this div class, you will see that because of mt5 there is a large orange band that is on top of this column, so that it pushes down the column from the top. top of that particular tag. Uh, now let's just do one more thing. Let's center the tag, center all the elements inside of this column. And the way to do this is if you just go here and write uh, okay, not here. Let's go to this h1 tag. Now h1 is used for headings if you are not familiar with HTML. So there are h1 to till h5 of tags which we can use, and each of those numbers will determine how large or how small is the font size. You can try experimenting with this. And here again we will mention this as class, and inside of this we will write text hyphen center. So Bootstrap gives us these neat classes in which helps you in managing your web pages now, which makes it much more beautiful to look at. So once you do that and hit refresh, we see that our title is now in the center of the web page. And let's do one more thing now, because this doesn't seem intuitive, of because of one part on the left side, one part on the right side. The button is usually at the center of the page, so let's also change that. Now we will convert these uh, two rows into three rows essentially. So let's move this column out of this row and make another row here, and we will say col 12 here as well and column 12 here as well. Let's make all of these rows full sized and all of these columns also full sized inside of it. And inside of the p tag, p is for paragraph. So paragraph tag can hold a lot of text, and we will again use this text center class so that our subtitle is also centered for the web page. Let's hit refresh again, and we will see that our web page is divided into three rows, and it is divided into three rows, and we have our very last element which is not looking so nice right now, but we will move to that as well. So here actually Bootstrap provides us with many ways to style our buttons, and the way to do this is if I just come here and let's go to the Bootstrap page and let's start actually seeing what their components are actually, how they look like. So let's go to their page, and because we want to look at some buttons and how do we make a button look better, we can just come here on the search bar and just search for button, and this button thing pops up, and let's just click on the first thing that is there. Um, let's scroll down a little, and we can see that these are the variants of different buttons that Bootstrap provides by default. So these already look somewhat similar, like you might have seen these designs appearing on the web everywhere. So this is how you style a button. So, and they also give you snippets of code to copy paste. So basically they say that if you want any button to look like this, you can you can copy paste this btn space btn primary tag or class inside of any element which you want, and then it will start looking like this primary button. And this would essentially mean that there is a button class that is applied to the to the certain tag, and there is also this btn primary tag which is applied to this very same button tag. So if we scroll down a little bit more, if you notice here, we actually don't have a button tag. We have a tag, and button tags in HTML don't have this href attribute. Like they cannot directly with the tag redirect to another URL. You need an a tag for that. And Bootstrap does provide this functionality as well. It says that even if it's an a tag and you provide this class, this particular class, two classes to an a tag, it will also start looking like the button that they have mentioned. So let's just come here and paste this class here and hit save. Now okay, let me close others, and let's just come here and reload our web page again and see that our a tag actually starts looking much better. like this one. Now we will also center this very tag in the center of the page, and the way to do that would be to come to our column and write text center, and this will center everything that is inside of this column for this particular column. So if you might notice that previously we mentioned this text center in our p tag or our h1 tag. The difference comes when you say text center for h1, and for an h1 tag it will center only all the things which are coming inside of that h1 tag. But when we say text center for a whole column, we say that every element that comes inside of that column will be centered. So once we do this and again hit refresh, our button also comes in the center. uh, and and the way we did this initially, we were supplying all of these titles and subtitles from MongoDB. So maybe we can go and change that as well, but let's ignore it for now. Let's say that this is how currently our front page will look like, and let's do more styling inside of our pages for now. So let's just click login user and log in with any of our users that we want. And see, this is how our homepage is currently looking like. Not very welcoming or not very nice, to be frank. uh, Now let's introduce more components from Bootstrap itself, or let's try to at least make it look much better. uh, we will do one thing. We will again use our brick layout and this container brick and column layout again in this page as well. And the way to do that would be to come to our home.ejs file and see what is going on here. So it is a very bare bones page for now. So let's come here and just copy paste this head tag, which is holding our css file on top here. Let's go to the bottom and include our script file below everything else. Let's also write these HTML tags, although in EJS they are not necessary, and if they are not present, EJS automatically includes them. And finally, let us enclose all of the elements, all of the content of the page actually in these body tags. And the content ends here. And let's format it again. So this is how our web page looks for now. Uh, I know there is a lot of things going on currently in this, but let's now again go here and put all of this inside of our container that we wanted, because everything, every brick that we lay out stays inside of that container. And we will again write container and take this closing tag and put it at the very end just before the body tag, so that everything now comes inside of this container. And if I just go and reload this page, you will see that we have some spacing already, and our web page starts looking a little better. Now let's do one more thing. Let's introduce our a row, one row in the start. Okay, I think this one. Um, and let's divide it into two columns for now. And the reason for it is we will have our username or our uh, web page name or home written right on this side with the username below it, and on the left side of the page, sorry, on the right side of the page, we will have this create product button. uh, this is just some arbitrary design that I have in my mind. This is not necessary to do so, obviously. You can continue creating these rows on top of each other, or think about some other design which you want, or actually play around with this a lot, because that is the best way to learn all of this CSS and learn about Bootstrap is how much you try and actually sit down and experiment with it, try to explore their components as such. So let me again say column 6, and I will say um, home written in H3, for example, here. Uh, and below it, let's remove this BR tags which are mentioned explicitly. And below this, we will say in a P tag, um, just the email. We will remove this user logged in thing. And inside of this now, let's inside of this row itself, let's create one more column 6 column, and say create product. That's all. This create product button, and we'll put it there. And we will obviously put the btn space btn primary class right here, which will make our button look better. And once we hit save and run this again, we will see that our page looks something like this for now. And it isn't the best, obviously. What I need to do is shift this create product button to the very right, which I think is possible with a class called uh, text end, maybe. uh, I am not sure if this will actually work. Okay, this exists. Okay, so we say something like text end on the column, and it moves everything that is inside the column to the very end of the width of that column. And the to the row itself, let us give this empty 5 margin at the top again, and see that it will leave some space at the top. So this looks much better. And uh, let's do one more thing in the P tag. Let's say that it has a class text muted. Now text muted will do something. It will not leave the text as black as this one. Like we do the home, where home is written, it is already highlighted. This is just some design decisions. So if we don't want our email to be as highlighted as the uh, title written on top of it, we can write something like text muted, and it will make the text much lighter. Like it will make it's something of a gray shade. Let's just reload once and see what happens. This makes it gray in color. um, let's do one more thing now. Let's implement these components which are very common on the web. These are called cards, actually. And if I just search up cards, and we will see that this is what a card is essentially. And you can see that the default component that they have with the code that they have given right here is exactly similar to what we already want with our products on the website, right? We want a product image, we want a product title, we want some product description, and we want these buttons on below it. So it is perfect for us. So let's just copy this whole thing, and come here and see that this thing actually needs to be put in a card. And now let me do one thing so that you get an idea of what I'm trying to do. Let's click on create product, and create some random product for now. This was a refrigerator. Okay, so let's create a laptop again with some price. This time let's just use any product photo, any photo that we can for now, because let's not just try and keep looking for any photo. So you can go on Google search, Google image search, and just copy image URL for any photo that you see there. And in the product description, we just write some i9 processor, 8 GB RAM, and click submit. We have all these products, but you can see that um, what will happen eventually is it will all start going down below, and it will create a lot of scrolling that the user has to do. So let's try to avoid that. Let's try to arrange these as the bricks that we had, that I explained a little a while ago. So we will keep all of these products inside of a singular row, but all of these products will be a card layout like this one in like I said in Bootstrap. And these cards will occupy one third of the space in a one third of the space in a singular row, which will be 12 divided by 3 is 4. So each column inside of each row will be column hyphen 4 class. And when we actually in Bootstrap, if you just try if you just declare one row and try placing these column 4 some 4 column 4 rows, what you will see that in mathematically what happens is you have this column 4 filling one third of the 12 columns. Another column 4, which is 8, becomes two-thirds of the 12 columns. And when you put another column right here, column 4, it becomes full 12 columns. And in the same row, if you try placing another column, it actually internally makes another row inside of that and places the next column below the 3 columns placed above. So let's try doing that for now. For that, we would need 4 products essentially. So let's create something called a washing machine as well for now. And in the product photo, again, let's try to declare any product here. And I am entering just some random data, and just one last product which we'll enter to see this 4 column effect, air conditioner. And this is oops. We will just hit submit and see that we have 4 products for now. And now we will come and try to implement what I said. So all are and what this specific thing does is it repeats whatever is inside of the for loop. So however many products we have, we will have a repetition of this particular thing inside of it, n times, n being the number of products. So let's put the whole for loop in EJS as well inside of these rows. Let's format it a little. And inside, what we will do is, instead of just directly saying, first let me remove this HR thing below, because we don't want lines anymore for after each element. And what we will do is we will make these cards. But before making these cards, let's make each of the elements, each of the product elements as column 4, as we discussed earlier. And then we will wrap all of this up inside of this column 4. And let's hit save. And let's try reloading this for now without all that card thing. You can already see that our card or our element, our elements or our products are already placed like this. So there are 3, there is this column 4 column here, and if I inspect, it should be much more clearly visible. There is this column, the first one, this one, which is the refrigerator column. There is another one with the laptop. There is another one with the washing machine. And as I said, if you try putting more columns which occupy more than 12 units of space on Bootstrap, it pushes it to another row. And that is exactly what happens. The 4th column gets pushed down to the next row. Now, let's change this up a little more. Firstly, we had these buttons, so let's put the class as btn primary here. And for deleting product, we'll actually use another class, not just primary. We will say btn. btn danger, and danger is basically a red colored button, which is if you think of it interface wise, it makes sense. So this is how our buttons and our whole front page looks like. And then we will do what we will do is we will use these card layouts, and let's copy paste it for now and see what happens inside of it. Firstly, let's remove this style width 18 rems. This is a unit of measurement on html, this rem, and it basically sets the width of any card at that particular unit. But our width of a card is set by the column 4 thing, which is 1/3 of 12 units of measurement. So on the top, we have our image src tag, so we don't have to do a lot of different things. Let's just come here and write uh, percentage equals this thing, and we will say product dot image, or sorry, product dot photo, which is the photo url for the product. Instead of this card title, sorry, this should be item. Instead of this card title, we will replace it with our item name. Instead of this card text that has all of this information right here, let's delete all of that and replace it with item description. And below it, we will just replace it with these two buttons instead of this href a tag that they have written here. Let's hit submit and see how our page is looking like. Let's hit refresh, and we see that okay, this is how our page is looking like. These are very random photos. For the refrigerator one, I think we don't have any photos, so let's try just hitting submit and let's put any other photo. Okay, you will see that our cards are now very long. So to encounter that problem, let's come here and write style and say max hyphen height as a value like 200 pixels. uh, and once we do that, we will see that all our images become 200 pixels in height, and but they are a little squished. So to encounter that problem, there is another attribute in css called object fit. Obviously we are limited by time, so I cannot go over all of them, but you are free to look into all of these. I'll also try to attach a css reference in the ending mail tomorrow that we will put. If, for example, so I'm just showing this to you live. If you write something like object fit cover, it covers all of that area without actually stretching the image. So that is what we will do here. In this one, we will just go here and write object fit cover, and it makes the image cover all of the current width that is present, and also makes it 200 pixels in height. One last thing that we would want to do is uh, we would want our we would actually want all of our buttons to be side by side, not a lot different. So let's just see if Bootstrap provides us a method for doing that by default. If not, we'll have to make that by ourselves. I think not. It doesn't provide us that option. So let's do one thing. I'll very quickly write one more class, which will be one more div tag, which is basically display flex, and everything which will be inside of each element which will be there inside of this class will be placed side by side. And if I then again just go here and load my page, this is what it looks like as of now. And to make some space between this update product and delete product, let me just go here in this form and write another class saying this will be class, saying ME, which is margin at the end of this element, to be some number again from 1 till 5, let's say 2, and this should give some more space between all of these elements. So this is how our page now starts looking like. You have all of these products that you can display. Uh, let's do just one last thing. As you can see, between this refrigerator and air conditioner listings, there is no space. So that happens because these are all columns, right? And if we introduce some space above all of these columns, say MT3, which is margin top 3, or instead if we say MB3, which is margin bottom 3, it will start introducing a little space at the bottom of each card, and our products will have some space as well. So that is done for now. And there's one just a final few things which we want to do is change up these forms, these create product forms. And the way to do that is in Bootstrap itself. If you just come here and see, just click on forms here, and you will see that they by default have all of these stylings for the form, which happens using something called form control, the form control class. And let's just try and introducing our a container row and column format for all of these, all of those pages as well, and it should start looking much better finally. And this will be our last pages which we style. So like our index page, let's again just come here and include the script tag at the bottom and our head tag at the very top. Let's wrap our form inside of our body tag, and let's cut paste our form inside of this body tag itself. Let's create our container div, which will allow us for a lot of spacing. And we will do one some a little peculiar thing. Instead of making a div class with a row, we will tell the form itself to act as a row, and that will be like, if you just say class row, then all of this it's inside of it can be then segregated into columns, and that is what we want. So we will now just say column 6, and we will introduce this right here, the first input element. We will again say column 6, and we'll introduce this element the same way right here, and we will continue this for all the other elements. So this will essentially create 2 rows finally, and in each of the rows we will have some or the other elements which should start looking much better. So this is the create product page. Let's try reloading that page and see what it is doing as of now. Okay, so it looks hideous all the currently as well. So let's do one more thing. This submit button, let's put in a column 12 tag, and introduce the btn class for it. So let's say class btn primary for this. And let us introduce the form control classes for all of the other elements. So this will be form control again, and let's just copy paste this for all other elements. We are going a little beyond time, but this is just one last page that we have to complete with the styling, and we will see how that looks. Okay, so this is how our form is currently looking. Let us also introduce our a little spacing between all of these elements. So let's just say MB3 everywhere. Space MB3, and like this home.ejs page, let's do this thing. Let's copy this row from our home.ejs page, and paste it above the form. And let's remove this user.email because we don't have access to the user on this very page. And here we will give a give one create product heading, and the href tag will actually move us back to our home page. So let's just say home, and it will move us back to our home page. So if we just do this and hit submit, we will see that our page now looks a lot better, our create product page. And for the row, we will also introduce another empty3 or something to give it some space from the header above. As you can see, this create product and product name are crammed together. And if we hit reload, this looks much better. Uh, and let's do one more thing, just one last thing, and this will be copied onto the update product page, which I think we can leave out for you to do yourself, because it is essentially the very same thing repeated for the update product page as well. We will instead, we will just instead of saying btn primary, we will say something like btn outline primary, which is a different type of button which you can actually go on Bootstrap and check for yourselves. On the right, if you click on outline buttons, it gives you these different sort of buttons where if you hover, then it will become filled. So these are just pre-made components in Bootstrap itself. So doing that and saving it will make your home button not prominent, and you still have all of these options to edit and update, and this submit button here as before. This home button will also work the same way as going back, and you also have all of this information right here. Just one thing, if we can introduce in the very end, which we should have done quite a while ago, is again, because we want two buttons to be side by side, let's introduce our logout button, which was missing from our application. So let's just say d-flex, which is display flex. It allows for all elements inside of that element to be placed side by side. And display flex is another CSS attribute, display attributes, which is the very backbone of frameworks like Bootstrap. Again, I will give some references so you can go and uh, play around with it by yourselves. So just one last thing, I'll just duplicate this and say logout. And instead we will change it from btn primary to btn outline danger this time. And this will point to the logout endpoint. Let's just cut it right now and place it below our create product. And as before, let's give some end margin me2 something to give some margin to the right of the first button. And if we reload, our page should look much better. Okay, now I think will need to change this by we need to put it on the very right side of the page, which will happen by writing dflex, I think. Justify content end. I think this should do the trick. Yes, it does. So these are some final classes which we had to put, and the reason for text end not working is we have this another div class inside of another div class now, and it is itself a flex display flex attribute, and text center is basically just used to center one of the elements or text mainly. But this justify content end, justify content center, justify content start are these classes which can be used to move whole columns or left or center or right of any column of any width. So I'm sorry for not being able to go into a lot of depth about this. We can obviously extend this in future about Bootstrap itself. But this is how our final pages look like. This is how our create page looks like. Our logout page works fine. Okay, sorry, it should be /users /logout. So just doing it at the end, /user /logout, and I think if we do it now, then it should work. Yes, it does. These were titles which we fetched from our MongoDB page on day 2, I guess. And again, the whole thing works fine. Logging into any account and going through it will give you this page which we styled today. uh, Maybe we can introduce outline danger classes for the delete products as well, so that they don't stand out a lot. So just doing that, we should make it look much better. So this is the final look for now. I hope you find it satisfying enough to look at, or it actually makes sense to look at and quickly find all of these products. I hope I could extend it into a UI UX bootcamp as well, so that we could see the reasons behind doing something like this. Using outline somewhere and other, and emphasizing on certain elements. So that's it from my end today for this very thing, and we have come to the end of our boot camp. So i'll I'll stop the screen sharing for now, and I think we can I hope this looked good enough to you. You could understand some things here. I'll for everyone else, for a video on demand, I'll stop the recording now. Thank you everyone. Thank you who is even watching this later, watching this as a video series later, of coming to this point and doing all of the programming and all of the code with yourselves as well. Thank you, and I'll close the recording. Thank you everyone. Thank you for watching all the series videos, and thank you for attending. And